now. Alrighty. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone joining. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone is doing great today. Just letting people in. And the session is also now being recorded. So yeah, hope everyone is doing fantastic today. I'm already seeing some familiar names in the participants, so that's great if you've already joined some of the sessions so far. If you haven't joined any yet, welcome to the Career Bootcamp. We're pretty much exactly halfway through our Career Bootcamp, which I can't really believe. But it's been really great so far. And today we have a very special session. It's all about networking. Leading the session today, we've actually got two speakers. We have Zoe in the call, and we also have our very own Judit is going to be speaking as well. So just to give you a bit of an intro into our two speakers before I hand over. So as well as co-organizing this program, Judit is a facilitator, learning experience designer and consultant. She focuses on fostering collaborative and innovative environments and partners with organizations to drive engagement, build high-performing cultures and empower individuals through transformative learning experiences. And her focus is on crafting impactful workshops and programs that connect the leaders of today with the leaders of tomorrow to create a better future. And for Zoe, our second speaker, she's a learning experience designer with a strong foundation in visual design and UX principles. So she brings a unique blend of creativity, technical acumen, and educational experience to every project. And she has over 10 years of experience as an educator and honed her skills as a creative lesson planner and skilled facilitator. So our current focus is on expanding her knowledge of web development as she continues to explore the interconnection between learning design and technology. So two really great speakers here today. And I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, which is Judit. So take it away.
Thank you so much. Oh, hi everybody. I started to read that there is snow in Estonia and it seems like my throat is responding to that. So I'm very excited about this session because actually in the past I have been mentoring a lot of people and I had a lot of conversations about networking, but this is the first time when I'm actually sharing this in a bigger group. So thanks a lot for being here. And this is going to be an unorthodox networking session because you will see I will share a lot of examples. I will go a bit more vulnerable, but I really want you to learn from the experience what I had. And then Zoe is going to build up on this with her really interesting story about the bootstrapping. But before we go there, I would like to make a thought experiment with you. So imagine you walk into a room and there are a lot of people there you would like to be in touch with. They are very interesting, very exciting, you know. They know a lot of things. You can also close your eyes when you are thinking about this. And imagine that you are there, you see all these people. What do you feel at that moment? And what does that feeling say? Please put it in the chat. I'm really curious. Maybe for some of you, it's going to be moments of excitement. For some of you, it's anxiety. And what does your anxiety say? Does it say that, okay, overwhelmed, dreadful, exciting and nervous, intimidated, I'm an imposter and nervous. Okay, and what does it say? So does it say that, oh, you are not enough, or people will laugh at you, or maybe there is curiosity and like, oh, I'm excited who these people are, and maybe they are also curious about me. There probably is FOMO, really good. And I wouldn't know who to talk to, how to introduce myself, who do I start with? Exactly. So there is a lot of overwhelm in that. There is a lot, so this is a very complex topic to start with, because it's not only the strategic things about you have a limited time, who do you go to talk to, and what do you say, and how do you convey your message, and how do you convey the question you want to ask, or how do you convey the message that you want to ask a favor. But also there is a lot of things that comes for us, which is connected to social anxiety. It connects to us in a way, how do we relate nowadays to each other in the time of the internet, where now, for example, when you go into a school and you ask children who of you stays outside after school and plays with other children, probably 10% of them will raise their hands. But when I was growing up, for us, it was always going to, talk to people. Whenever I didn't have a homework ready, I couldn't go online and search for it. I needed to work on my skills to be able to talk to people. So thanks a lot for sharing these. And you are totally right, because some of us are most of the time we see that this is a very important topic and this is something what could contribute to our career, but we don't do it. And some of the networking gurus are saying that, the moment when you start networking actually is you are already late, because you should already do networking, not just at the moment when you need your network. But a lot of times we associate networking with this only event, which I think most of us have been to this event, where there is this awkward conversation at a big event full of people there, and actually you don't have any escape to go. But that's not only networking, because networking generally, if we follow what Helen Tupper says, I'm going to send you some recommendation for books. That's one of her book. What I would recommend, The Squiggly Career, is that basically networking is about people helping people. So if you look at networking, maybe you talking to a friend of yours and making an interview with that person and connecting that person to another expert in your network, that's also somehow how you can help each other. And so networking is not about, what is it that I can take and what is it that I can immediately take. And I think a lot of times when there are introvert people, and I have a very strong introvert side, we are oh my God, but I don't want to take advantage of people. I want to build a relationship. But you can build a relationship and you can create results at the same time, not only for yourself, but also for others. And today we are here to see how we can do that. So I created a couple of steps for you. And of course, the beginning point is always us. So some of you are at the point right now of searching for a job. And this session is specifically about future job search. So it's about how to create your future job network. And what I would like to encourage you to think is it's not that you are a desperate job seeker, but you are a person full of potential looking for the next opportunity. Why is it important? Because it can be seen on your body language. And there are these statistics about how much of our communication is actually made up of nonverbal clues. So if you go with this mindset, that's already one step you could do. And what actually is interesting with that, even if you write an email, this is something what you could do too, because it will affect your mood and it's going to affect the way how you are crafting a message. Second step, lay the groundwork. So before every networking, what is really important, why do you want to network? What is your goal? Be clear about it to yourself. I'm going to give you some exercises a bit later. And who do you want to have in your network? So this is something what is important to be intentional about this, and what approach is it that you will take. So if you are an introvert, for example, and you want to have a coffee or you want to have an online chat with somebody, that's totally fine. If you are very comfortable for being in very big groups of people, then I would recommend you to go to very big events. For example, we could go, maybe some of you were also there at the L&D Shakers conference, the non-ference in the beginning of October. I think we were like 150 people, but it's not for everybody. Then we just get into the practicals right now. So assess your network. It's like very interesting. You already have a network, and a lot of times we don't think about the people we already know, because when we think about networking, we tend to be like, oh, I need to have new people in my network. But step number three actually here, but in the network, is that assess it. So what I would like you to do right now is create a small like doodle, and take a piece of paper and just start to write down like what are actually the circles that you are already in. So you can see that, for example, for me, I'm in the circle of the L&D Shakers. I'm an alumni of the Rijksuniversiteit Groningen, which is in the Netherlands, but there is also another university which I haven't listed. I am a member of a SASA community. I know a lot of people from at least 4 companies I worked in. So what I would like you to do is take 4 minutes now, and actually I'm going to try to put you into breakout rooms. Let me see if I can do that, because then in that way, I'm super happy that you like the salsa. In that way, we can control the time, but you can also try to do it in a way that you just speak to each other. So, okay. Yes. Okay, sorry for this. It's, let me see. Yes. All right, so there are 3 or 4 of you in each room. So I'm going to open the rooms and draw it, doodle, talk a little bit about it, and then see you back in 4 minutes. And let's see who is actually online. No problem that you cannot join the conversation, then you can just stay here and just do it for yourself. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm joining the meeting late.
No worries. So, what we are doing now in the breakout rooms is that we are talking about how to assess your network and that what network you are already part of. So, what are the circles you are already part of? Basically, it's like, an exercise just to finish in 4 minutes. So, and they are coming back in 30 seconds.
Okay,
So,
perfect. Thank you.
so if you can just, take a note somewhere, maybe
Yeah,
either on your phone or laptop.
will do.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I know it probably you will say that it was really short, but I hope at least you could identify one or two circles. Yes, anybody, do you want to say something or no? Okay. So we will continue with this. So I will just go on because I really want you to continue these conversations. So, and when you are finished with assessing your network, and this is, of course, it's something what you need to come back to, there is the question of how to engage the people who are already in your network. So I don't know if you have ever seen an Excel sheet like this. I'm going to put it in the resources, but you could actually start doing an Excel, and then it's going to be much easier to go into your network. Has any one of you already have something like this? I'm really curious. Just put it in the chat if you have. Yes. I love Excel whenever I have to look for a job. Okay, yes, that's also great. Some of you have it. Really nice. I also met actually once a person who had a little notebook and he was carrying it around with him because he couldn't remember details about people, but he was networking in a way that he actually put down very interesting details there. Yes, it could seem overwhelming, I agree. But once you start to do it and once you start to update it, actually it can help you a lot. Okay, so here the question. Who is in your network? And maybe some of you are not, some of these people are not in the first exercise which I showed you, okay? So think of people also who are outside of all the networks, but who is in your bigger extended network who already helped you. And maybe he could help you or she could help you potentially. Maybe somebody has been kind to you already and you could contact that person. But also we will think about it like what kind of help do you need and why. And why we are talking about this is that if you think, okay, I will say an example. So when I started one of my projects 4 years ago, which was Grow Your Space, I was working as a career coach for teenagers and high schools and actually universities too. One step what I did was that I educated my network. So I sent an email to the most important people I know and I have a good connection with. And that included people from my university, people with whom I worked with before. And I educated them that, hey, look, I'm still doing coaching and training and facilitation. But right now, I also started to do this. What you could do is actually celebrate with me. But another thing is like, just please keep it in mind. Maybe an opportunity will show up and it would be great if you think about me. So this is the next thing. Okay, so, and then what probably is the most challenging for all of us is how do we grow our network? So there are different roles what we can take in a network. And I don't mean like within one network, but it could be like just within networking. I'm trying to check what is in the chat. Okay, yes. So exactly, that's also great, Irina, if you have LinkedIn, but it's just like, this is more the mindset, like what I would like to encourage you is to keep a system of tracking your contacts, because we could forget them. And actually, like there is a research that we can keep in touch with maximum like 150 people. And that's how we can cultivate friends with. So our networking role can be the consumer. So for example, in the L&D Shakers, I'm going to show you some examples. Like I was also a consumer at the AI Teeny. So that's something when I am receiving value, right? You can take the role of a contributor, which is actually what we are doing right now. And Grace will tell you a little bit about it in the next slide. You can be a connector, and you can also look for people who are connectors. Connectors are the people who have a lot of contacts, and you can just write to them and like, hey, I would like to talk about let's say learning evaluation, or I would like to talk about how can I network within my company better? Can you help me? This is the person to contact to. And you can also become this. And the creator is the fourth role, which is, for example, here is Anna Maria and her team, because they are creating this whole network. Well, you can also create your own network. And how it looks like in L&D Shakers is, for example, there is a mentoring program. So if you need mentoring, you can go to this. We are going to put these links to the chat. You can also come back to this in the Miro board, where you can be mentored. And there are also some times when they open up and you can become a mentor. There is the makerspace. They are creating actually career portfolios, and I think they just did this week or last week their first hackathon. So they are also focusing on people who don't have skills yet in certain areas, so that you can build your portfolio and some experience. And we have, for example, the community social mixer on the 25th. This is also going to be in the chat. So these are the places where actually you can be a consumer. And then we have the boot camp. And Grace, would you like to say something about it? How we came to this idea of contributing?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting because when Judith and I were talking about this session that she was going to put on today, all about networking, initially I was like, I don't have much to contribute here. I wouldn't say that I feel like I'm very good at networking. It's not something that I would say I have, lots of skills in. But as we were talking through it, she sort of helped me realize, well, putting something on like this program is also a form of networking. So I've had the chance to meet a lot of really interesting people, the speakers that we're getting in contact with, but also some of you connecting with on LinkedIn. And I really have to say none of it has felt forced or uncomfortable. It's actually been a really, really lovely experience for me. And yeah, definitely helped build that up. So I guess the point is that kind of expanding your understanding of what networking is, and doing something like getting involved, contributing in some way, is a really, really great way to go about it. So yeah.
Thank you. And yes, we hope we will inspire you to also contribute. So, and when we talk about career karma, this is also a concept what is in the group of in the book of Helen Tupper. So when you think about like at the preparation stage, what is nice to clear is or clarify is there are some prompts for you. So for example, one is like before you prepare, what are your strengths or your passions, and based on that, how could this be useful for other people? So what is it that you could contribute to? And I will say an example here that I work together with Nomad Cruise. So I am actually self-employed, but I also had some jobs through these tips. And I think I'm saying these examples because I think they can be also relevant for you. So when I was at the Nomad Cruise, this is the first conference on sea. And they wanted to do a tribe program, and they wanted to do networking, and they were appointing some people to be facilitators. And I went in there. I was actually first a consumer, so I was doing a trip with them for 2 weeks. And during that 2 weeks, actually, I was taking a lot of notes. What is it that they could do differently from my perspective as a facilitator and learning experience designer? And you know what I did when we arrived? I messaged the owner of the company, and I wrote him a message like, hey, thank you so much that I could be part of this experience. And I was thinking, this is really my passion to create learning spaces for people where they feel safe and they can learn the most. And I have these 5 points which I noted down during this cruise, which maybe would be interesting for you to think about. And then that led to a coffee, and that led me to work on the next cruise. So actually it landed me a really nice project. So, and that's why it always starts with us, like how can you translate it? And again, another thing which is interesting, if something makes you angry or upset also, like listen to these, because I also go to a lot of learning spaces, and I'm working with companies, or sometimes I listen to speakers. And when there is something when I'm like, oh my God, this is not right, this is not the most updated statistics, let's say, or this is not how it could be done, I am usually writing notes. And okay, I'm not presenting it to them in an angry way or anything, but sometimes I just hear myself, because when you are passionate about something, you know this, like small things are going to be clear for you, what is not clear for others. So this is something what I would suggest you to do, and we are also going to do in a second. And yes, if you are at this point of on the other hand, so what is it that you would like to receive? So what is your learning objective right now? For example, there is a methodology which is called Art of Hosting, and I wanted to be an apprentice. I wanted to learn more about it. And that was one of my learning objectives a couple of years ago. And I wrote it on my list, who can help. Her name was Mary Alice, and they were organizing a training for 4 days. And I messaged her, but I messaged her in a way, I didn't just write like, hey, can I come? Because I really would like to, but I did some self-reflection. I wrote her like, what is it that I would like to learn, and what is it that I can contribute? So this is something, when you are clear about it and you move this career karma, it's going to come back to you. And sometimes it can also happen that you are going to mentor people who are in your network, but maybe they are in the beginning of their career path. But this is also something like, let's say it goes into the bank, and then once you get, and the other times you're going to receive. So I'm going to put you again into breakout rooms. I hope this time I can do it a bit quicker, but a lot of things are open for me for the sharing. And so there are these 2 questions. You can start with either of them. Probably it's going to be homework to do the other, but either you start with it, that what is something that you would like to learn. So what is your learning objective, and who can help? And you can go back to your list, which you have done before, or you can start with 1 or 2 passions, and you can actually brainstorm in this chat in your breakout room, like how can you translate it for others? Okay, so let's see. I think we have also like 4 minutes for this, and I'm just going to put back to the same rooms. Hello. Ah, yeah. Marta, you wrote that you cannot. Jonas, neither. All right.
Sorry.
Hi.
Jonas here. Hi. I would unjoin the breakout rooms because I have to leave home now. I'll take you with me for the next 10 minutes until I've got an appointment which came between, and just listen.
Okay.
And you would have to get me. No, I take myself off room 9 because I'm annoying Jacqueline there because I'm on 2 instruments right now, on 2 devices.
Okay, so I moved Jacqueline to another room.
Yes, and I just stay here quietly and listen
Okay.
to afterwards. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay. How was it? Could you find at least 1 or 2 steps to do? You can put it in the chat or...
I can speak. 4 minutes feels short. I don't know if the other groups, but for our group, 4 minutes is usually short. And though I'm very talkative, I'm not the only one talking. Sorry, I got lost on what I was going to say. I will go back to mute myself. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yes, I know it's really short, and this is also like really, I think 1 hour is not enough for this. This is more like an inspiration and a thought experiment to try. We will also put the makerspace doesn't really have a link right now. If you, Alison, you can go to the Slack channel, and I will send you the presentation. Actually, that will be in the materials. Okay, you focus more on the strengths and the passions. Yes, that's great. Anywhere you start. Okay, and just lastly, one thing: be prepared to be brave. What does it mean? So when I was at the university, one of the first internships I got in the Netherlands was coming out of a yoga class. Because after yoga, we used to sit and drink tea. And there was a guy who was from Colombia. He was talking about what they are doing. They were a very small chemist like agency, and they were creating like samples to be tested for cancer drug. So it's a very early stage drug development. And he was talking about it, and he was talking about how difficult it was to set up a company in the Netherlands. And I was looking at him, and all of a sudden I studied business, and I was like, do you want an intern? And you know, it was not a nice way to say it. It was actually really messy. I think my whole face was red, and I think my ears were red. But then we started this conversation, and I sent him the CV, and 2 days later, I was in his office because I actually was working prior to that in a pharmaceutical company. So I had some references. So it's like an invitation for you too, that there will be these moments when you need these insane 5 seconds of insane courage, when you will feel, okay, I need to go to that person to talk, or like, this is my moment. And the only way to see that is to pay attention to your body, because you will just feel it. So now let's hear a little bit about you. I know this was really short. It was just like a couple of sentences of inspiration. Do you have any questions? Please put it in the chat. I'm also going to put some examples, what you can read later, of what kind of messages to send, because that's something what we haven't talked about. Are there any questions or thoughts? Which is not only about the Slack group.
I have a question about networking. It's easier if I talk. What advices would you give to people who have like social anxiety, for example, and the introverts, right? Because approaching people online, LinkedIn, or in an event, or what have you, for some people is almost as climbing a mountain, or even worse. So how to, as an introvert or as a social anxious person, what can we advise those people?
Okay, I would say push yourself, but take care of your own limits. So if it doesn't suit you to go to a conference where there are 200 people speaking at the same time, don't do that. Find your own way which works. And maybe that's going to be one-on-one conversations. Maybe that's going to, you can also have a networking when you just go for a walk with people, or you write them messages. I think it's a very, very important question that you say, that I don't think we need to push ourselves too much. I don't know if it answers, but this is something what I would say right now.
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may add something just
Yes.
quickly to this question, because it's a very important question. There are a lot of introverts who feel very uncomfortable with reaching out to people or connecting to them. I always, because I also train people on presentation skills and networking sometimes, I always say that just think that connecting is one of the most is basic need of everyone. So we are all longing for connection. So you are just fulfilling your own longing and the longing of others. And also when you reach out for help, another need we have is to give. So when people can give you something, can offer you help, mentor you, they're happy. They fulfill their desire of giving. So you tap into natural needs of people to connect and to give. Maybe that helps.
Thank you so much. Exactly, Irina. Thank you for bringing in this point, because actually a lot of times we want to give help to other people, right? So why is it so difficult to receive the same help? And yeah, looking at the time here, I would like to give the stage for Zoe. She's going to walk you through actually how she bootstrapped her way through learning communities. And if you have any other questions, please put it to the chat. I can maybe answer you, or I can put it later to the presentation. And I cannot see. Yeah, Zoe.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so I'll start sharing my slides now. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh. Okay, so can you see that? I'm sorry, that seems to be... can you see those? Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. All right, so thank you, Judith. Yeah, so I'm going to just talk a bit about this idea of career bootstrapping. So you're probably familiar with the idea of business bootstrapping, where entrepreneurs will fund their own businesses rather than relying on external funding. But what about career bootstrapping? Maybe you can just type in the chat what you think that might be, or yeah, also you could say what you think it might be. Did anyone want to say what they think it is? Never heard before. Fake it till you make it. Connecting. Okay. Refining career objectives. Taking. Okay. So yeah. So it's quite a few different interpretations there. Yeah, it's something that I've sort of called it that. So that may be why you haven't heard about it before. So basically, career bootstrapping is, I've sort of defined it as being, it's like a self-directed learning journey towards your career goals, but it's essentially based on freely available online resources and using or utilizing or interacting with learning communities as one of the main ways to actually drive your career change. So it's essentially focusing on self-driven learning that can transform your skills and mindset. So just in terms of this, my own, career transition. So I'm from a teaching background, teaching English as a second language, and I had a sort of quite a linear pathway to get into that career. So obviously you just go away and you get your degree or your master's degree, and then you get a job and so on. And when I got to the point where I wanted to make a career change and I was really thinking, I'd like to move into this area of learning design or, instructional design, learning experience design. But I really didn't have the time or the money or patience for formal study. again. So I was really thinking, okay, so what other ways can I try to actually make a career transition without having to go back and do this formal study again? So my starting point was looking into the MOOCs, so the massive open online courses. So all the way through, FutureLearn and Coursera and so on. So I don't know if anybody else has been doing many of those I know they've been around for a long time, but anyone else tried a MOOC recently? Okay, LinkedIn Learning, yeah, okay. Some MOOCs in the past, Udemy, okay, yeah. So yeah, I don't say that MOOCs are MOOCs are great, and there's I mean, it's quite amazing how many things you can study through a MOOC, totally free, or you just pay a little bit to get a certification at the end. So they are an excellent resource, and we should definitely always use those. But I just found that when I started using them in this sort of very focused way, I did find that they were a bit too linear and lacking in that interaction that I was really looking for. So you sort of had that these sort of forums, but the forums were very sort of insulated, and one question would not connect with the next question. So you sort of would answer a question and then you move to the next topic, and everything that you wrote in the previous question, you couldn't see it again. So I just found that it was, not really conducive to a good discussion. So that's when I started looking, more actually, I started looking at learning communities, and especially through LinkedIn. So I started discovering that there were all these sort of groups on LinkedIn, which were, very, very interactive, very active, and, quite dynamic. And so they sort of became, my main arena really for where I was getting ideas for how to make this transition, where I was making connections, where I was finding out about resources, boot camps, as we're doing now, and so on. So, so sort of moving away from this sort of linear thing of a MOOC and more into these kind of learning communities where there's much more sort of, much more going on. So, and I think one of the, so a couple of other comments here. So FutureLearn was great for MOOCs, but you need motivation. And can you please share some learning communities? Yeah, so so I'll be sharing some more learning communities in the next couple of slides. So I guess one of the things that that is related to the idea of communities of practice is that when you are in a learning community, it's not a kind of a top-down learning style, but it's more like an apprenticeship where you're sort of interacting with people who are at a similar or possibly slightly more advanced level, and you're sort of just learning in this very sort of incremental, like organic kind of way, where it's just through asking a question, having a little chat, and maybe then making that more formal and actually saying, hey, let's actually catch up for a coffee chat, or, coffee chat, or more like a Zoom chat, and really getting to know somebody through that as well. So Now, one of the things that, so this is kind of more into the actual process of what I would be doing in those learning communities is, you know, so I've already mentioned that, you know, engaging with the learning community, whether that's through LinkedIn, Slack, Discord, etc. Through that engagement, you start to see what that community is interested in developing, what skills they're interested in developing, and what resources they are suggesting to develop those skills. Now, and then the next step is figuring out what it is that you want to focus on, and then go away and practice that independently. And then once you've done that, sharing your progress back into that learning community, and maybe back into any other communities that you're connected with as well. So back to that question of which specific learning community that I could talk about. This, the first one that I really joined on LinkedIn is actually specifically called Teaching: A Path to Learning and Development, which now I believe has several thousand members. It's based in the US, or people in the US started it. So when I first joined that, and I was really at that beginning level, and I was thinking, okay, everyone was talking about, you know, making portfolio projects, and one of the ones that everybody was talking about was infographics. So I thought, okay, let me try that. Most basic thing you can probably make. The interesting thing was with this, that little image you can see there. So that was also based on things that I had been learning about in one of the MOOCs that I'd already done. So I did connect the MOOCs back into, you know, this process. So that this is, as I said, one of the first little portfolio projects that I made. I'm not going to say it's the best thing ever, but it's just something that I got the inspiration from that group. I went away, I learned how to do it myself, and then I shared it back in the group. And because I've been interacting with that group and asking questions, then when I shared what I was doing, of course, there was more responsiveness to what I was sharing. So I'm just going to go through a couple of other projects, basically the same process. So this is another project that I did. This one was actually created out of a little DIY project group that started in the first LinkedIn group. Then we all formed a little group ourselves when we were doing a little cohort, a free cohort to learn the program Articulate Storyline. And so we created our own little group. We each worked on different projects. We shared that with each other. And then when we finished that, we then shared it back into that broader learning community. So I just saw that there was someone putting a comment there, but I didn't see what that comment was. Okay. And then this is another one that I, again, through just learning, you know, all the connections that I had been making through LinkedIn, through interacting with all these different learning communities, I found out about a free cohort program, and I joined in that cohort program and was able to complete this project with a new software program in 5 weeks, which was quite a quick time for the whole project. And then I again shared it back onto LinkedIn, and through that made more connections. So yeah, I guess that is, you know, the end result was that I was able to put all of these different projects together into my own portfolio website, which in the end took about 2 years to put together. And then I finally was able to then take that portfolio website into interviews and have that confidence that, yes, I actually do have the skills that they are after. I can talk about them, and I had that confidence to put myself forward into those job interviews. So I'm not going to say that it was a quick process, but I think by the time I did get that first job, that it was really, I did feel ready for it. And so my last slide here is, what are your goals? What skill gaps are you working on? Which learning communities can you share your work with and seek and give feedback to? Obviously, L&D Shakers would have to be a big one there. So I might just leave it there. So can't see any.
Nice, thank you, Zoe. And we do have a few minutes left, so if anybody has any questions for Zoe, do go ahead and throw them in the chat.
Oh, and this is my last little question to everyone there. What do you think I could do with this presentation? So I'm now basically asking you for suggestions, and also please connect on LinkedIn. Okay, yeah, so yeah, currently I'm working as a digital learning specialist at a vocational institution here in Melbourne. And that's actually my second position since I've sort of transitioned into this field. Okay, should I stop sharing my screen now?
Yeah, that's fine. So there's a follow-up question that maybe we can end with this one, and then we can go to the closing.
Okay, so did you also have a job in those 2 years? Well, I was sort of doing more like freelance teaching English, because that was my previous, you know, job. So I was doing that like as a freelancer. And then hardest action you had to take to start those projects, which others can learn from. I think the hardest part, to be honest, is actually figuring out what you want to do, what kind of project you want to do, what tools you're going to use to do that project, and also what it's going to be about. That is actually that's harder than you think, because usually when we have a job, people tell us, oh, you need to do this thing and this task and that task. So when you have to just sort of, you've got this kind of open book and just thinking, okay, what can I can do anything, but what exactly am I going to do next? That is something that takes a bit of time to get used to, but I do think that it is kind of it's like a muscle. Like the more that you do it, the easier that gets. And I think that underlying that is a good skill to be able to develop as well. So I was teaching English before.
Nice,
Okay.
Thank you much, Zoe. I think we just looking at the time now, we do have to wrap it up. Well, yeah, thank you to both of our speakers today. I think for me, sort of a key takeaway is that networking kind of means a lot of different things. You can be reaching out to people, but also as Zoe has just shared, it's also about learning from each other as well. So it's really been really interesting to hear that perspective. Yeah, I'm curious to also hear from all of you before you leave. What was your key takeaway from the session today? So you can go ahead and share this in the chat. And just while we're doing this and closing, a little announcement to make about the program. One thing Judith and I were discussing is that we're really enjoying these sessions. We feel like there's been a lot of information being provided to you, but what would also be really nice is to have a time where we can kind of just come together and maybe talk a little bit about what we've learned, support each other. So almost like a bit of a peer support session. We haven't finalized this yet. We still need to plan it, but we have already created a link for this, and it's going to be in the first week of December, on the 4th, I think it is. So we will be sharing more information with you about this, but just giving you a little update. This is an extra session that we're going to be adding on, that you'll be welcome to join. It's about coming together, sharing experiences, learning from each other, maybe working on implementing some of the things that we've been talking about throughout the session so far. So more to come with this. This is just a bit of a service announcement. And yep, that is it for today, everyone. So thank you all so much for joining, and wishing you a lovely rest of your day. Thanks, Zoe and Judith, again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.